So the goals for the day, there are two of them. We are going to learn a little bit more about new European Bauhaus and the NEB Compass. And as Fanny mentioned, we are going to try to apply it to our projects. And the background for this is that during the work with our roadmap, we did a small test with the compass and experienced that it helped us understand new European Bauhaus a little bit better. And I am in no way an expert on this, so I'm sort of at the same level as most of the rest of you. We have had a workshop on this topic before, but at least for myself, it was good to have some repetition, so I think it might be useful. And the new European Bauhaus is sort of at the core of Revalue and many of the other related projects. And we see this come up again and again. So it will help us maybe understand our own project better, but also being able to navigate in other calls or other topics. So the new European Bauhaus is a movement, and it's supposed to facilitate our transformation towards a more climate neutral and environmentally friendly society. And it has three main values: sustainability, aesthetics, and inclusions at its core. And there are some principles of co-creation, transdisciplinarity, and participation. And these are what they're called working principles. I would maybe call them tools or method, or maybe both, but they are how we work to achieve the core values. And for me, at least, since I come from construction, I immediately related new European Bauhaus to the old Bauhaus or the Bauhaus school. This might be a source of some confusion because it is stated in some places that it's inspired by the Bauhaus school, but the connection is not really stated very clearly, and it is there. So this summer, me and my wife, we had a trip to Weimar to see the site of the first Bauhaus school, and this is not it. This is the other one, the second one. But anyway, there is a connection. It's not very obvious or strong, but at least the connection with aesthetics and transdisciplinarity is there. So for all of you architects that are confused, maybe this helps a little bit. And the new European Bauhaus is also at the core of Revalue. It is also connected to our impact model. But again, if we look at our contract and the Revalue impact model report, it is stated that we are inspired by NEB, but not exactly how. So there's a lot of inspiration going on in at different levels. So maybe this workshop might help us to understand or express these connections a little bit better. Today we will work on or use the NEB Compass. This is actually a tool or a guiding framework that helps us apply the NEB values to our projects. It is very concrete and relatively easy to use, actually. It is available for download. So the background for us was that we were working on the roadmap and started just applying it ourselves without any kind of guidance. We just used this document as a resource. So afterwards, or maybe you have done it already, you can download it and read the full text. It provides quite good guidance. And the Compass is a framework that describes the core values, and it shows examples of what we mean, which is very useful. So for each of the values, beautiful, sustainable, and together, it explains with good examples. And in addition, it adds 3 levels of ambition. So 1, 2, 3 for each value. It says that, okay, you are good, better, and great at reaching or supporting us, one of these values. In the same way, it shows the working principles, the different methods with examples, and it also defines 3 different ambition levels. So you have the values and the working principles exemplified and with different ambition levels. And this is how the compass is visualized. So the colored blobs are the values, and these gray lines are the working principles. So here are the core values, and notice that there are sort of 3 blobs on top of each other, and they have different colors with a different intensity of the colors. These actually have a function. These are the ambition levels. You will see later that if you have just one of them, if you just have the circle, you are at the first ambition level, and so on. Same goes for the working principles. These gray lines say something about how much, which kind of ambition you have achieved within the working principle. I will go through some examples from Ålesund. I will not go through the whole text, but just show a little bit how we worked on this. For the first one, beautiful. The ambition levels that are defined in the compass is to activate and connect and integrate. And these are, of course, shown with examples. And for this particular value, I found it quite easy to interpret it. It's very concrete. The examples are good, and also the ambition levels. So for this one, it was relatively easy to make a table and fill out and answer the questions. And by the way, the guiding questions that are given in the compass are for is an example of how we can do it. You can make your own, and we could, for example, have defined guiding questions within our project Revalue, and then maybe be able to see how different cities align. So the first one, relatively easy to work on. Same goes for the second one, which is sustainable. Repurpose, close the loop, regenerate. These are terminology from circularity and so on that we are familiar with. So again, it was fairly easy to fill out a table and answer the different questions. But here, at least for Sørsida, our pilot area, we noticed that, okay, we are actually not reaching maybe the ambitions that we thought we were. The questions are really good in that they make you think about these different ambition levels. And at least for myself personally, I had to adjust my opinion on how good we were doing at Sørsida. The last one, the last value, core value, together is maybe a little bit more abstract. I struggled more with this one. Inclusion, the ambition levels include all, consolidate, transform. They are a little bit more abstract, maybe harder to answer. And I think we scored low on this. For example, how is Sørsida promoting new forms of social co-living, for example, and we are really not there yet. But this all depends on where you are in the project. So for some of these values, it might be harder or easier to answer depending on where you are in the project, and that is something you can reflect upon when using the compass, I think, at least. And in the same way as we have the core values explained, the working principles are also explained with examples. And they use the terminology working principles, but for me, it was easier to think about them as a collection of methods and tools, maybe. This is the toolbox to achieve the core values. And these are shown with these gray lines in the middle between the values. And note that there's actually the scoring for the working principles is how far out is this gray line relative to the dashed line. I will show some examples later. The scoring in general with this choice of graphics is not really that obvious, in my opinion. So I had struggled a little bit to understand it. These working principles are explained again at different ambition levels. So it's the exact same structure as for the values. For each working principles, each ambition level is explained with examples. So it's really easy to grasp what they mean, both when they talk about the different principles and the ambition levels. So in the same way as for the values, we just made a table. This is just my way of structuring it. It might not be best the ideal way for your project, but for this quick test that we did for the roadmap, this was okay. And it was nice to sort of list what we had been doing, the methods we had been using, and putting them into this kind of framework, because now we know when someone talks about NEB, we know exactly where we are related to that. We don't have any like similar kind of framework in Norway, for example. So this was quite useful for us. And again, it changed at least my personal opinion on how we were doing. We saw that, okay, we are really not at the top ambition level for all of these in any way. So when you sum all of this up, you end up with a compass for your project. And this is what it looks like for Sørsida. It is the one we made for the roadmap. And you can see that the score here for beautiful, the blue one, is at ambition level 3, sustainable at 2, and together at 1. And for the working principles, we are sort of scoring halfway up the ambition levels for all of them. We have a way to go on them. And I have to mention that this exercise would, of course, ideally be done in a group. It was not done in a group for Ålesund. I did it myself. But of course, I based it on the roadmap and all of the feedback from everyone who was writing the roadmap. So it sort of represents a lot of different input, but I think that's important to think about who is going to do this, because you are rating the project. So maybe it should be like a core group within the project. Maybe not invite all stakeholders to this exercise. I might be wrong, but at least that's what I think works for Sørsida. So this was the result for Ålesund. It was quite interesting, and at least for me, it changed my perspective on how we were doing, and I learned a lot about what these values and working principles are. So now when someone talks about NEB, I have a total different understanding of what it's all about. Here are some other examples. I think it's a bit of a challenge that they are a bit hard to interpret, because you have to remember each color and their associated values. You have to remember these gray lines, what kind of working principles they are related to. That's why I just add these are my own labels for each of them to remember what they are. So this looks really good, but maybe not so useful for someone who is not working actively with the tool all the time. So I think now it's the time to go to the workshop and do this yourself.